Good morning, Cedar River Otters. Today is Thursday. It is January 4th. It's the 4th. And here are your daily announcements. A little wonky having announcements on a Thursday. First of all, I made a boo-boo yesterday on our morning announcements. For leadership students, we are meeting next Wednesday, which is indeed January 10th. I just looked at my calendar wrong. So it is still next Wednesday after school on the 10th. I hope I didn't confuse you too much. Let's see, leadership students who received a pass to meet in my office today at 10:15. I'll see you then. Those of you that have a pass know that you're supposed to come. Let's see, what else do we have? We have so many exciting things. We had so many classes respond to our announcements yesterday about why do we have the rules of two. So we're going to share a little bit of a recap about the rules of two before we move into what it looks like to be an otter in the classroom. So glad you're here today. All right, so the rules of two. We're in the bathroom for 2 minutes or less, 2 pumps of soap, we sing happy birthday 2 times, we have 2 paper towels, and we put that garbage in the garbage can or the hoop for 2. So why do we have these expectations? Well, this is all offense class shared. We have the rules of two because we don't want to waste our learning time. We don't want to waste soap or paper towels, and so that you don't stay in the bathroom too long. Mrs. Bransoy's class shared. So we don't run out of stuff. We don't want to waste water by staying too long. 2 minutes, so other people don't have to wait too long. And if you're going to be in the bathroom for more than 2 minutes, your teacher gets worried. Excellent responses and the exact reasons that we have the rules of two, so that you can be in and out of the bathroom, back in your class learning, and so that other people can use the restroom as well. Now, we're going to look at what it looks like to be an otter in the classroom with Mrs. Huerta's class and with Ollie the otter. All right, otters, as we look at what it looks like to be a student or an otter in the classroom, what do you notice about Mrs. Huerta's class? What are their behaviors? What do you notice them doing when she asks a question? How are they interacting with each other? Let's see.
How many siblings do you have? Good job. All right, my friends, good job. And otter up. What is your favorite color? Turner.
Red.
What is your favorite animal? Henry.
Cheetah.
Cheetah. What is your favorite food? Aiden.
My favorite food is pasta.
Pasta. Right, I would like you to turn and talk with someone on the carpet and tell them your favorite holiday.
Christmas.
All right.
Christmas.
Okay. Otter up.
All right, otters, did you notice active listening? The students were faced forward and their ears were listening, their hands were in their lap. Or when it was time to respond to the teacher, they raised their hand. Showing the O3s and showing respect in the classroom looks like eyes watching. It looks like facing forward, looking at your teacher. Your ears are listening. It looks like that you're thinking about the topic. It looks like you raise your hand to talk, and your lips are zipped unless the teacher asks you to share. All right, otters, there are so many ways that we work on being a student here at Cedar River and what it looks like to show respect, make good decisions, and solve problems. Of course, in the classroom, we are doing lots of things, and we're listening, we're getting directions, we are working, we're trying hard, we're actively participating, we're sitting up straight, we're tracking our speaker, and we're respecting others. And I know that you all are working hard at doing that each day, even when you might be tired, or you just don't feel like you want to, or it just feels like you're ready for the weekend. But I know that you are trying hard. Tomorrow we have an assembly. We're going to review all of these things about what it looks like to be an otter here at school. We have a special guest, Ollie the Otter, at our assembly. Your teachers received some information about assembly behavior and what that looks like when we're entering the assembly, how to participate, and we have some really funny moments that I hope that you will laugh at and that you will engage in during our assembly. That is all I have for you today. I am going to show the Otter Paw winners for the week. I will not show our lunch menu until Monday. And of course, as always, I'm very, very excited for our assembly tomorrow. I hope that you wear your Cedar River gear or teal and black to show your support for our Spirit Day tomorrow. As always, it's a great day to be an otter, and I will see you in the morning.
Hi Otters, we're here with our Otter Paws. I will go first. I have one to Indy and Miss Branzoy for helping pick up after an art project without being asked. One to Cleo and Miss Hayes for being an awesome leader. One to Stavia and Miss Isgrig for making good decisions and showing respect in Future Ready. One to Maggie and Mrs. Yount for working hard and win. One to Spencer and Mrs. Yount for choosing to pick up trash at recess. One to Charlie and Mrs. Pantel for showing respect and making good decisions in the lunchroom. One to Coco and Mrs. Huerta for always being kind. One to Elizabeth and Mrs. Angeline for not running at recess. One to Oliver and Mrs. March for reading a book with Luke. One to Harvey and Mrs. Turian for helping out a classmate. One to Jenna and Mrs. Oliphant for showing respect and making good decisions at lunch. And this one has no teacher, but this is to Audrey for showing respect, making good decisions at lunch as well.
Awesome. And I have one to Julie and Mrs. Huizenga for listening to the lesson and playing safely during PE, being a positive role model in the gym. I have one to Pia and Mrs. Dia and Mrs. Thompson's for showing respect in the lunchroom. One to Quinn and Mrs. Osborne's for making a good choice to physically move away from distractions. One to Remy and Mrs. Rowe for being a risk taker. One to Zachary and Mrs. Rowe for making work easier to read. One to Grace and Mrs. Gregson for showing respect and making good decisions. One to Martin and Mrs. Landry's for showing lines behavior. One to Jack and Mrs. Johnson for having amazing PE behavior. One to Isabel and Mrs. Molnar's for following lunch rules. One to Sasha and Mrs. Cassidy's for doing a great job of focusing. One to Arson and Mrs. Rodriguez for showing great growth by working hard. One to Addie and Mrs. Nichols for being prepared. And one to Logan and Miss Nixich for persevering during a math test.
Nice job, Otters!